All right, this is Chapter 8 for Floral Design, which is flower selection. So your learning targets or objectives are define the application for a design to narrow the choices of floral materials, choose colors for a floral design using color harmonies and palettes, determine when it is appropriate to use flowers with fragrance, and describe ways to reduce allergens in floral arrangements. Explain the traditional meanings of common flowers. Discuss the role of cost in selecting flowers for design. Discuss the role of form in selecting flowers for a design, and identify flowers used in floral design. All right, so for the introduction, they have special traits: flower shape, stem type, long, short, dense, natural qualities. So the best way to select flowers is to kind of play to their natural abilities. You also want to think about the W principle, the who, what, where. Who is it for? What is the arrangement for? And where is it going? If you think about, there are some issues if you have like a hospital room and you're going to put flowers in it. It's a small space. You don't want very fragrant flowers in a small confined area. You also have to consider flowers that are available. Are they in season? If they're not in season, they're going to be super expensive. You have to think of the mechanics of the design. Is it going to be stable? Is it going to tip over? How am I going to get water to it? So like this one here, they have a wood box on the table. I'd have to have a liner in that in order to have water in it. Otherwise you'd have, eventually it would soak the table. And it looks like maybe a wedding or a fancy party. You don't want to, soaked tablecloth. You also want to find out the customer's preference. So here you can see a lot of white and green used at the table. I'm guessing that's the theme they're going for. Maybe it's an organization they're working with or a wedding theme. You also want to think about longevity. How long are those flowers going to last in that arrangement? Color story. If you look just like the last page, they're continuing with that green and white color theme. So you can see, obviously, looking at the images, this is a wedding. You want to think about the material selection. Sometimes texture comes into play here. You want to kind of go with the same overall look. In this scenario, they have pretty much the same shades of green going on. Number of arrangements. You want just enough, fit their budget. That's another big issue too. And the use of color harmonies. So as you can see, they did a great job in these images sticking with that same color theme. Complementary color harmonies. Color harmonies help you stay on track with your color story. And when we look at the color wheel, you'll notice the whole color harmony piece coming into play. So analogous color harmonies, they're going to be pretty much the similar color throughout, if not tones throughout. Monochromatic, they're going to stick with one color. So you can see a lot of white. They do have a little bit of pink in this, but it's hard to tell when you have it mixed with the other white. This one is mainly pink. That's monochromatic. Color palettes. Roy G. Biv. This is something we all learned a long time ago. So you have that red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and then violet. That's your rainbow. Roy G. Biv. So psychology of the color red. Red can mean a lot of different things, and that's something you have to think about too, is what are you trying to say? What is the message? Maybe someone just likes the color red. It also can show aggression, anger, but it's also a sign of love. When you look at orange, people think of it as a warm color. It could be also considered cautious. Think of like your cones on the side of the road that are kind of a warning, like, hey, don't drive here. That's that whole caution piece. Yellow, think of happy, sunshine. Can also be another caution flag thing too. I always think of spring with yellow, just because daffodils and tulips, especially with these flowers on our screen, those are some of the first ones that come up in the spring. When you look at green, a lot of people think of youthful growth, healthy. I think of like first growth, because that's a lot of plants as they first emerge, whether, doesn't matter what color the flower is, you're going to see green first. Blue has a calming effect. To be honest, my bedroom at home is blue. It used to be yellow. I didn't like laying down at night and feeling like, sunny warmth. I wanted something more calm, so I painted it blue. It's also thought of as tranquil, could also be thought of as sad. Purple. Purple is a color that's associated with royalty, also mystery, ambition, I really like this flower here is lilacs, so I have a lot. I've always liked purple. Lilacs are one of my favorite flowers. Pink gives you the impression of feminine. It makes you think of soft, healthy, vibrant. White to me, like if you notice the bottom one here, I think of clean. A lot of things that we actually seek as a human are white. And it's not meant to be racist at all. It's if you think about chickens lay brown or white eggs, there's other colors too, but people tend to pick white because we associate it with being clean. We also think of heaven, think of clouds. Bridal dresses are white. We think of a lot of wedding stuff when we see white. Psychology of color, you have gold and silver on this one. They're reflective, metallic. They work really well as an accent. You can see this one almost has more gems in it in the bouquet than it does flowers. That's something that can always be added. Obviously, it's hard. You can't really find that in a plant naturally. You can spray some to look metallic if that's what a client would prefer. And then there's the earth tones. Earth tones people think of as calming. They do typically work well with all colors. They tend to have some broken hues. Just like if you think of, a plant decaying, it's going to happen at different stages. So some of these things when they dry have different brown tones in them. And this is gray. So you might think, well, it's kind of green. It's kind of a greenish gray. And this is a succulent. Succulents have become so popular in the floral industry. They are a slow growing plant, so they can be a little bit more spendy. They tend to support that gray color, though, supports other colors. It can highlight focal areas and tone down colors. So if I paired this with like a brighter pink, it might tone it down just a little bit. And you can see here they kind of have a purpley gray succulent in this bouquet. And then black. Black is kind of a hard color to play with. There are some people that it's their favorite color. These are a calla lily that's black, and this is a tulip that's almost not as much black as it is a really dark purple. The hard part sometimes is photography. If you have these mixed with the wrong flowers, it's going to look like holes in the arrangement. So just be cautious in how you use it. A lot of people think of mysterious authority or even like the absence of color. So form classification. All of our flowers fit into a category. So you have line, mass, filler, and form. Line flowers tend to give you height. This is a liatris. Mass flowers tend to have more of the volume. They're going to be a bigger piece, tend to be a focal point in the arrangement. They also tend to be more expensive just because of their size. This is a filler. Filler is going to go in between your flowers and kind of make it so like our objective is to hide the foam in our arrangements, hide the mechanics. You're going to use filler to help you achieve that, yet make it look cohesive. So fillers, you could have misty blue baby's breath, could be wax flowers, lots of different options. And this is a form flower. Form flowers are kind of unique in the fact that they have their own unique shape, and it's usually best to play into the shape that they have. So these are some fragrant flowers. In other words, avoid if you're going to be sending them to like a hospital room sort of situation. But keep it I don't always agree with I don't think carnations are that fragrant. Kind of depends on your sense of smell too. Flower pollen. If you notice, these are the anthers. A lot of times they're removed on the flowers because you can see it made these petals orange. It's going to make clothing orange. It's also going to trigger some allergic reactions. Could be a lot of issues, but they typically remove them unless you have a bud that's not open and opens after you receive the arrangement, then you'd have the anthers. Identifying flowers, there's a whole section after chapter 8 that has a whole bunch of flowers. You guys do have to learn the flowers. It's part of your grade. You'll have quizzes on the flowers periodically, and it does help. Once you figure out the shape of them, that's the biggest thing to look at. The shape of the, the petals, the leaves. So you have a rose, you have a dahlia, and you have a calla lily on the images here. So when you look at cost is another big way to select flowers. If someone comes and says, hey, I have $15, could you get me something? You're going to have to choose materials appropriately. You also have to think about your labor and your overhead costs when you're doing the calculations for price. And you also want to make sure that you're choosing appropriate materials and container depending on the scenario. So practice. Practice selecting flowers in different color harmonies. Practice pricing a variety of flower recipes. And that's just, it sounds weird. You're not making a cake. You're going through like, okay, I have 10 roses. I have 10 irises. I have 5 leather leaf. And that's just going through the pricing. Practice different varieties, learning different varieties of flowers. You guys can do that through your Quizlets. Learn the different colors of each type of flower. That can be hard. So here is a rose. It can be white, yellow, red, rainbow, you name it. You can pretty much get a rose in that color. Some flowers don't have that, like these irises in between here. They're pretty much that color scheme. So that is your Chapter 8 flower selection. Lots of different options. You guys are going to have some other assignments with Chapter 8. Also be sure that you are looking at your Quizlets and reviewing the identification. It always helps to mark the ones that like, okay, these are the ones I need to work on. I need to hit those again because something needs to stick in my brain with this. So keep practicing, keep trying, and until next time, we'll see you later.